Hello there and welcome back to Cybos TV. I'm Daisy McAndrew, your host for today and for the rest of this week. Well, here in this massive convention centre in Boston, we are tackling the big issues, and they don't get much bigger than big data. And I'm delighted to have two experts alongside me here to talk us through big data. Next to me, Larry Lerner, welcome to the programme, from Accenture Analytics, and Paul Ventisai from HSBC, welcome to the programme as well. Well, I started off by saying big data is a big issue, and of course, we've been banding about the expression for quite some time now. But Larry, what do we really mean when we say big data? And particularly, as we're saying in this session, big data is still hungry. What does that mean?
You know, it's a good question, and it's something that we've been definitely reading about and talking about now for a number of years. Within the context of the session today, what we mean is the different types of information and data that companies are able to use today, whether it's external, whether it's internal, whether it's structured or unstructured. There is more availability and there's more access to data that is enabling companies to make better and better decisions based on the types of analytics that they can apply to that data. So, whether today or tomorrow, financial institutions, payments institutions are looking broader into all types of data to be able to make better insights, better judgments about their business.
Well, coming to HSBC, what does it mean specifically for you? I mean, this sector as a whole was an early adopter. They got big data perhaps earlier than other sectors, but what does it mean for HSBC?
Well, I have a colleague at HSBC who says that big data is probably about as important to business as the advent of the internet. Now, it's early on in the days of big data, but if we went back to the beginning of the internet, you wouldn't understand as much as it was going to change the world as it has. And I think data has the same capability. I mean, everything that happens today, all the other technology trends, whether it's mobile, whether it's social, whether it's the Internet of Things, these are all leading us to have a huge amount of data. And the person and the companies that can understand that data and derive value from it can really make a huge leap forward against others. And HSBC hopes to be one of those. I think the biggest thing, though, that data is going to do is it's going to help us get in touch with our customers. It helps us become customer-centric because we're able to understand the customer by analyzing the data and all the transactions. When you think about data, it really is a living record of all of the transactional information that we have with our customers. So getting to grips with that really helps us add value to our customers and add value to our shareholders.
But Larry, I think the pace of change and the pace of growth is so frightening for so many people. I mean, when you think that 90% of the world's data was created in the last 2 years, yes, you can understand why people think, oh my goodness, I haven't even got time to catch my breath, let alone catch up with big data.
No, that's right, but the good news is, along with that fast change that you're talking about, there's also an advent of incredible new technologies that are available that companies are deploying in a much more rapid pace in order to test and learn and test and learn. At least what we find is that the rate of adoption of these new technologies is keeping up pretty well in pace with the advent of the opportunities coming through with big data. And I mean, Paul can talk to this even better, but what we're seeing is companies really, embracing not only the, leveraging their existing infrastructure and their existing legacy system, but also building hybrid systems alongside them in order to be able to, better, make use of the massive amounts of data that's available today.
Paul, I suppose there's always a danger, though, with something that's moving and evolving so fast, and with so many companies claiming to offer the software solution to these problems, that people in your position might think, oh my goodness, I don't know whether to go for this product or this product, and they're very expensive mistakes if you go for the wrong one. How do you feel your way around that marketplace and be confident that you're going down the right route?
Yeah, that's a great question, Daisy. I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting about big data is actually there's a fairly low barrier to entry into trying it, which is very helpful because the volatility in this market is still very high. None of us really know where it's going to end up. So what we're going to have to do is fail fast. In this sort of environment, what you want to do is try things out, check if they work. If they don't, dump them and go for something else. And
so maybe buy quite a lot of smaller products, if you like, or go down the sort of dip your toe in rather than say to your chief executive, I know the answer and it's to go down this very expensive route.
Typically, the barrier to entry won't be the technology investment; it'll be the people investment.
Yes.
It'll be finding the right talent. I think you would agree that's really where the main challenge is going to come in. Typically, you don't see it as being just an investment proposition, but also a human capital proposition.
Yes, now this is an area that really fascinates me because you can have the big brains saying this is what we should do, but of course you need the foot soldiers with the talent and the training in order to implement that philosophy or that. And so many business people say to me, we just can't find these kids. There aren't enough of them around with the right training. Is that something that HSBC has discovered?
Absolutely. I mean, actually, there are two types of skills you need here. One is an engineering skill and the other is a business analysis and statistical skills, data scientists. So we have data engineers and data scientists. Both are a problem actually, because in the data engineering world, it's not just you have to find the right skills, but you're also asking them to break down barriers that are very often built up within the organization today. So today we have software and hardware, and those two things tend to be in different divisions. But actually for big data solutions, you really need to bring them together, so you're working across that barrier. And in data science, you've got business analysis and you've got coding. So you've got software engineering skills and you've got business analysis skills, which tend to be in the business and in technology, and so you've got that barrier that you have to cross. So it's very important that you don't just find the skills, but you set them up to succeed by allowing them to cross those barriers.
And of course, when you're talking about barriers, and very often we're talking about a pyramid management structure in the companies and the firms that we're talking about that have been existing in that structure for many, many generations. And actually, the advent of big data and all of this technology means in some ways it'd be a lot better to rip up that entire system and create, but it's impractical to suggest that companies should be doing that. Have you seen any examples of companies that do that very well?
Absolutely. I mean, the companies that are doing best at this are really fundamentally rethinking their operating model. Many of them, like HSBC, are deploying chief data officers, chief science officers, and really developing a more integrated operating model in order to be able to unite IT, and business. So I think, if you look out into the tapestry of firms globally, the ones that are really kind of leading the charge are ones that have not only addressed the technical and the talent side, but also have fundamentally shifted the way that they organize and the way that they deploy capabilities in order to be able to do this quickly.
We were talking about this earlier on Sibos TV about how the status of the CIO should and hopefully has in many cases inevitably gone up. There should be a bigger status for the CIO, but I'm guessing, I'm not suggesting HSBC, but in some, that's a hurdle to jump over, to persuade the rest of the organization that this is the new world and we need to adapt.
Yeah, it is, but it's not a new challenge, I think.
No.
In technology in particular, all my life, you're really looking for the new technologies, and it tends to be the younger people who've got those new technologies quicker. Actually, in this particular case, it's interesting how slow the universities have been to catch on to the big data skill need. So although we are partnering with universities, it's actually quite difficult to get young people out of the market who are already skilled. So in fact, we're having to transform our existing staff into those with the skills necessary, and actually that's probably the way to go anyway, because there's no way we can afford to just graft on a whole brand new division of big data environments. What we need is to move to it.
I'm guessing if you do that, if you train from within, of course that is expensive because those individuals will have to be taken away from their day job in order to be retrained.
Yeah, you got to find the balance. I mean, retraining and providing access to new tools and techniques is critical, and partnering with the right academic institutions, I think it's a very healthy way of doing that, but there has to be a balance, and there's only so many resources that you're going to be able to pluck out and really have not only the technical and the engineering skills, but the storytelling skills, the ones that are able to then compile all of these results into something that's easy to digest, easy to consume, and it's a tough challenge.
It's a challenge for individual companies and firms, and of course it's a challenge politically and globally as well,
Sure.
where the politicians all are aware of that. But moving on to another big data issue, of course some of the other fear and reticence about big data is about security, data security and data privacy. Larry, in your experience, where are we at of persuading organizations the right way of going on that?
I think the sands haven't settled yet. I think when it comes to data privacy and data security, companies are definitely oversteering in terms of doing a lot of protection. I mean, there has been, there's been too many events globally to really raise the awareness. On the other hand, it's going to settle somewhere else than where it is today. I would imagine. Folks like Paul are dealing with this issue on a day-to-day basis and finding the right balance between leveraging the vast amount of data that's out there while keeping it secure, keeping it private. It's going to be with us for years to come.
Paul, would you agree with Larry that there's been some oversteering on that?
I would certainly say that it's a major issue. And oversteering, if what Larry means is that we're taking it very seriously, I think we are. I think what you see is the governments of the world writing new legislations, and out of the security issues, the biggest one I think is the legal issue of what are you allowed to do with the data? Are you allowed to move it from one country into another country? What are the compliance issues associated, and what are our obligations under the compliance rules and regulations to both keep data and make it available and accessible to the right people and keep it private from others? All of those issues are actually putting a strain on the technical solution set. In fact, the big data technical solution set really was not designed with security or legal restrictions in place. It was designed to allow you to manipulate data in a really effective way. So in effect, now that the legal frameworks are starting to come down, what we're having to do is adjust to ensure that we keep within our legal and compliance obligations, and at the same time, don't destroy the benefits of allowing the manipulation of all of the data.
Final word, Larry, because we started off by saying big data is actually all about the customer and allowing companies to focus on the customer. And I guess the security issue is as well, because it's all about that customer trusting you with their data and that trust issue.
Yeah, absolutely. But also is in mitigating things like fraud, for example. I mean, so customer centricity is not just about knowing you better so we can sell you more, or it's also understanding when something is happening that shouldn't be happening, so that companies are better able to quickly react and continue to keep that relationship safeguarded.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for talking through this very big subject with us today here on Sibos TV.
Pleasure.
Gentlemen, many thanks. That's all from us for now, but do join us later for a whole host of other issues we'll be tackling here on Sibos TV. I'm Daisy McAndrew. Thank you.